Town Council. Start off our meeting with an invocation by Stephen.
Heavenly Father, just thank you for letting us be here tonight, and just as we conduct the business of this town, just know that across the world tonight, just uplift everyone that's will watch TV every night, and difficult things are going on along the world. Just pray that you would make sure that your will's involved there. Just give us the wisdom to make decisions for the town tonight, to listen, to have an open mind and open heart. And with these things, I pray in your Son's holy name. Amen.
Amen. Pledge of Allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now I'll call the meeting to order. Thanks all for coming. Start off with public comments. Anybody signed up or here otherwise that would like to? Okay, that's a no. Next up on the agenda is the consent agenda. Any comments from council? Let me intervene real quick. Brad will be here at about 7:10. We do have a quorum with just us, so
Okay.
we're good to go. Yes? Do you have public comments?
Yeah, I want to talk about the recreation park, Stallings Park.
Come on up to the podium. Come on up to the podium and say your name and address. And then you got 3 minutes to talk to us and tell us.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dawal Mehta, and I live at 407 Rachel Elizabeth Drive, Stallings, North Carolina, 28104. And good evening, everybody. And I want to talk about tennis court availability, right? So what we have been noticing is that whenever we come and play with kids in tennis court, there are private sessions going on, right? And then we are asked to play, we are asked to wait for an hour. Now, what I have noticed is that those private coaches, they come around 2 p.m. and holding or reserving the court, although there is no reservation at all, right? Their class starts at 4 p.m., but they are on the court at 2 p.m. itself, and I have been noticing that for multiple times, right? So when we go there, we are asked to stand outside and do not leave the court, meaning do not go away from that waiting area. If you go away, your timer technically is reset back to 0, right? So I want to understand that being residents of Stallings, right, how fair it is for kids and everyone who are within the town to not get a chance to utilize the court, where coaches who are coming from outside are utilizing the courts. I believe, and that this is based on my understanding, is that there is no reservation system or anything. It's first come, first serve, right? But if I come and using the court from 12 p.m. onwards, right, someone shows up at 5 p.m., is it fair for me or for them, that I ask them to wait for an hour because you just showed up, and I'll be still continuing utilizing the court for next 1 hour, right? Another thing is that when we go playing Chestnut, which is in Stallings, they are like, okay, you got to pay $5 for an hour, to utilize the court, meaning because you are not residents of Indian Trail, right? So are we charging any fees to these private coaches or not, And like my kids, right? This is what happened to us 5 times, that back to back we had to go back, and last time, there was a discussion, and the other coach also jumped in, like, okay, call cops and whatnot, and complain if you want to. And that's how I showed up over here. And then I learned that, okay, there is a meeting and whatnot, and I can put my question or concern, in this meeting. Yeah, that's all. I want to understand that, okay, how the procedure works, and is kids got to, are they supposed to stand over there right outside the gate for 1 hour under hot sun, even though the court is being utilized for last 4 hours.
Right. Appreciate you bringing that to our attention, and we will direct our town manager to talk to our Parks and Rec and figure out how to organize that and make it more clear so we know what's going on.
And we just met, and so we are trying to generate some ideas, so just want to pass that on.
He's on the Parks and Rec Committee, that's why, and they just met. The issue was brought up at the meeting. That just
okay.
happened. What time is that, 6:30?
Yeah, it's 6, 7, so it just wrapped up.
They
outside.
just discussed it. We'll have some action sooner than later, it seems.
All right,
So,
so can I expect an email or something, like a direction basically for kids to show up and play? You know, that's what I'm trying to understand. I know it will take some time.
Yeah, I don't know if we're that far along, but do they have your email address?
Yes, one of the person has, but I can write it down if someone needs it or put it in the system.
Okay,
Eunice
Eunice
got
has it. Okay, so we're good.
she has your email address. We'll let you know how this works out.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Public comments? All righty, next up, consent agenda.
I've read them. I don't have any questions.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, reports.
Nothing from me.
Nothing.
Only thing I'll say is we did have another WUMA meeting. Topic of funness was, of course, the sewer, which kind of continued that conversation. Traffic was another big thing, a lot of different development areas that are causing some traffic. So, but we didn't really make a lot of headway. A lot of discussions was just kind of continuing kind of the thought process towards whether or not we should consider a municipality-led authority for sewer. And I think that, that's a big ask for a lot of money. So we're still looking into it and what the next steps there would be, but just, that's about it from WUMA.
The only thing I'll add on to that was, I don't have all the details at my fingertips, but I know the state, in the state budget, allocated $26 million to sewer expansion in Union County. I know nothing of the details yet as to where and how it's going to be spent, but it's for expansion only, not for any other purpose. So that was from Todd Johnson, our state senator.
And that was 26 million?
Yes.
Nothing for me. Thank you.
All righty. Alex, town manager in the departments?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Scholl. We've got a couple items from the staff this morning. The first is Mr. Shong. Can we introduce Stuart?
We hired a planner one in the planning department, and I'm going to introduce Stuart Williams. And we're really lucky to have him on the team. Any questions for Stuart?
Does he know what he signed up for? Okay. I mean, as long as you just signed up for it knowingly, that's.
All right. All right. Thanks, Max. Welcome, Stuart. Second item, Eunice.
Good afternoon, council. We have Stallings Fest coming up in next weekend, not this weekend. At your desk, you guys will see our event coordinator, Tori. She printed y'all off some parking passes for you, also a friend or family member. They can get into the lot at Stallings Park. That's going to be closed off for the public. It'll be ADA accessible parking, vendor parking, and we have allowed y'all to have spots as well over there just to make it a little bit easier. You'll also see a vendor map on there where y'all's council tent will be for y'all to show up, make it quick and easy. We're really excited to have y'all. It's going to be an awesome Stallings Fest. We're excited. And just a little update, last weekend, the parks partnered with the police department on Friday, and we gave out 62 bike helmets at Blair Mill Park. So it was really awesome. I think only about 5 people showed up in their cars. The rest, everybody showed up on their bikes. So it was really awesome, and just kind of wanted to tell you all about that. And thanks to the police department, as always. So Thank y'all.
All right. Thanks, Ms. Donnelly. That concludes the staff report. Thank you.
All right, next up, agenda approval. Any additions, changes, or are we okay with the agenda as written?
Good.
Move to approve the agenda as written.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Text amendment TX 23.09.01. Acts of Sourdough LLC, a bakery products company, submitted a text amendment application to request bakery and bakery products as a listed use in the vehicle service and repair zoning district. I'll open the public hearing, and Max,
Yes. Hey, I teleported from over there.
I'm looking down, Max moved fast.
Hey, council. Thank you for having me again. So this is TX 230901. It's to allow bakery and bakery products in the vehicle service and repair zoning district. That's the request from our applicants. So where are my maps up? So as you can see in this map, VSR only has 8 parcels in the town. And it was meant to preserve the vehicle service and repair area that the town previously had. And so the town created a zoning district for vehicle service and repair at these 8 parcels. And these are the only locations for VSR in town. And this is very close to the town hall. So if I zoom out, you can see town hall is right here. And then VSR is pretty close. So that was a brief history, was to preserve those automotive uses. But as time has gone on, there's been a lot of different uses that I've been wanting to locate in vehicle service and repair. It's a very restrictive use, and it only allows vehicle service and repair. Yeah.
Go
So,
figure.
yeah, so we had a medical supplies company come to us for a text amendment. We had flooring, now we have bakery, and we actually have a few more on the way that have submitted as well that are gonna go to planning board next week. So the area is moving towards commercial. The future land use for this area is suburban commercial center. So bakery is consistent with the suburban commercial center because suburban commercial center wants general commercial services in the area. So the use of bakery and bakery products is consistent with the future land use of this area, which is in this map in red. That's VSR, or excuse me, that's where the VSR is located as suburban commercial center. So staff recommends approval of TX 230901, recommends the need for the additional uses in VSR, and bringing bakery and bakery products is consistent with the future land use plan and helps increase the number of businesses in towns, per the Stallings Economic Development Plan. And do you have any questions for me?
So I do have one question. Just this business, when I first read it, my wife was jumping up and down for a bakery in town. But Alex said that this is not actually an actual traditional bakery. It provides bakery products for other businesses.
So with this text amendment, it would allow a bakery like what your wife is probably thinking, but the applicants here, if you'd like to talk to them about their business.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I'll ask later.
Okay. Would you like the applicant to speak tonight?
I'd like to.
Yeah, would you guys like to? Okay. So I will pull up your presentation. Oops. The mouse is still acting up from earlier. Okay, let's see.
That'll allow them time to prepare the samples.
We did bring visual aids, but
So you just need to
not-
press
not
the down
necessarily.
arrow to go to that.
Beef jerky guy didn't bring samples either. Man.
He said he was gonna bring some back and he needed them.
So it's nice to be here. My name is Beth Cotramano. This is my daughter, Courtney Moody. Acts of Sourdough was really her vision. I moved here recently from Florida over the summer when I aligned with her vision for this company. So I left my nursing job, moved up here to help her. So thank you for hearing us talk about Acts of Sourdough. So this is the property, the front of the building in question. So the unit that we're looking for is Unit E, which is the central one, the white building. On one side is a staffing agency that supplies home health aides to the area. On the other side is a remodeling business. So we didn't know about the zoning. We fell in love with the property. And then we're like, oh man, you know, we're not gonna have this, it's zoned differently. And then I got in contact with Max and he kind of led us through the text amendment process and that. But this space itself doesn't feel like a vehicle service and repair area. It feels like businesses, surrounded like businesses. So this is the property. It will suit what we think now would be our needs. So our business model, right now, we're online only. We sell this is a good time for our props.
Yeah, the samples.
The sample, so I'll let you speak to this, honey, and I'll show
So
these
right now I
around.
have everything online. I started baking sourdough from our home, and then I don't know if you know anything about like sourdough, but you need a sourdough starter, like the culture that starts like the wild yeast. I dehydrate our sourdough starter and then sell it online, along with like small tutorials and short form videos about how you would bake bread in your own home. But really I fell in love with baking bread, and we couldn't do that in our home because of cottage law licensing. So I wanted to get back to baking bread and kind of bridging the gap between the online community and the face-to-face community. I'm a huge extrovert. I love people. I worked in the service industry for so long, and that's what I'm lacking on like online, in my online presence, is my face-to-face, like hand-to-hand contact. So, and I also love to bake bread, and now I just want to do that in this space. And then when we walked in this space, it really does suit all of our needs because we do sew and dehydrate and ship. So we do all of that stuff online. And then I would like to bake, but not a bakery, kind of like what the Stallings Fest is. They would have vendors, and I would like to bake on a wholesale level and supply to some markets or stores and then participate in those activities, but never have like a bakery storefront. Just a multi-purpose unit for Acts of Sourdough. Because it is really the perfect space for everything that we're doing already, just expanding out of my home because we have outgrown our home as on the online business. So yeah, I'm working on a recipe book, digital downloads, and dehydrating sourdough,
So this is where the business is now, online only. This is the inside of the space. It's a little bit different now. There's been some remodeling, but it does have a kitchen area, probably used as like a break room type use, but it's got, you know, plumbing, electric, and that we're confident, you know, working with the right contractor that we could bring in our bread oven. Really minimal equipment. We really just want a bread oven, a refrigerator, proper sink, that kind of thing. We're not going to do any stovetop cooking. We're not anticipating that. So servicing our needs, there's a large space for package and shipping. We can set up sewing stations, as well as office space for us. But really what we're here to do, why we're moving, aside from having outgrown Courtney's home, is we want to be in the community. We want to partner with the community. We believe in Acts of Sourdough. Acts of Sourdough was birthed out of the verse Acts 2:46, where they broke bread in their home and ate together with glad and sincere hearts. And we want that to be reality for those who want to bake it themselves or pick up a loaf of bread. But for families to really be able to enjoy the baking and breaking of bread. She says I overuse that, but I can't help it.
it is catchy as
It is,
well as
right.
biblical, so it works.
So, you know, so that's our desire, to attend local markets, events, the Stallings Festival, to perhaps have like a porch pickup option where we can bake, they can order online and pick it up. Maybe go into some wholesale baking, partner with the coffee bean guy, you know, lots
Yeah.
of possibilities. Courtney does a lot of videos online to teach people how to bake bread. We would love to expand that and have an area for filming.
The
or-
sourdough starter is in all 50 states now, so it has been a really cool
because although we can't have that face-to-face like relationship right now, it's been cool to see just like through video, like small tutorials and people being able to learn to bake bread still, so.
And the joy that's coming with it is really delighted me. And also seasonal menu with eventually a bread subscription service. That's our long-term vision. And we'd love to do it in that space. So thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions?
No,
Great.
I think you answered everything I had. Thank you.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Since this is a public hearing, are there any comments from the? Nope. Then I'll close the public hearing. Council discussion or action?
I'll make a motion to approve text amendment TX 23.09.01.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
All right, excellent. You're approved.
Strike that.
Do a statement of consistency and reasonableness. That's a separate vote.
Yes. Oh, sorry, I'll pull it up. I'll pull it.
Text amendment TX 23.09.01 to allow for the use of bakery and bakery products as a listed use in the vehicle service and repair zoning district. And then go down to the therefores. The town council hereby votes that the proposed zoning text amendment is consistent and reasonable with the comprehensive land use plan adopted on November 27, 2017, based on the goals and objectives as set forth in the document of promoting quality development and consistency with all state mandated land use regulations established through NCGS 160D. The town council approves the proposed amendment and stated that the town council finds and determines that the zoning text amendment is consistent and reasonable with the key guiding principles, goals, and objectives of the comprehensive land use plan for the following reasons. The text amendment promotes more commercial development opportunities in accordance with the town's economic development plan, and the proposed use is consistent with the comprehensive land use plan.
Was that a motion?
No, that was
I move that we approve the text amendment as read into the record.
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you, Max. Welcome to the town. Glad to see you're very excited about it.
Yeah,
It's been cool. It's been a cool experience.
Good, I'm glad. Next up,
I had a half a loaf of sourdough for dinner, so it was a good roll. Now, ours was bought from Panera, so.
you won't have to, shortly, you won't be doing that,
Exactly.
hopefully. Next up, Kevin, Chestnut Matthews, Weddington Roundabout landscaping costs.
Thank you. So, evening, council. Here in front of you tonight because back in the August council meeting, not to put him on the spot, but Councilman Richardson brought to council's attention and to staff's attention that there was significant overgrowth of grasses, weeds in the roundabout at the intersection of Chestnut and Matthews Weddington Road. And given that intersection is a gateway point into Stallings, Councilman Richardson requested the rest of council, get tongue-tied here, requested the rest of council to approve staff to hire a landscaping architect to look at putting together a landscaping plan and ultimately formulating costs for what that landscaping plan would entail. And so over the past couple months, staff has done exactly that. We hired a landscaping architect, coordinated with NCDOT and Union County to incorporate some of their comments and make sure we're accommodating their concerns. And you can see what the proposed plan is here. And I think the more important thing is what kind of plantings will be going in that. And so the big thing that NCDOT was concerned about was just making sure we've got visible sight lines. And so these are dwarf species.
so they won't overgrow significantly. They'll need some minor trimming. And they're pretty low maintenance as a whole as well. Once they get that initial watering stage, they're pretty much self-sustainable at that point. So we really wanted a low maintenance, low growth kind of alternative that really makes that intersection pop the way it should when somebody enters into Stallings. And so, that being said, jumping into the costs of this project, we broke the cost down into two separate steps, two different phases, I should say. And the first phase would be that first phase of just implementing the landscaping itself, and that was about $20,000, just under. And the second phase would be just the recurring annual maintenance, and that encompasses weeding, trimming if it needed, litter cleanup, and then it also encompasses roadside maintenance on the two quadrants away from the apartment complexes. So along these shaded areas here and along the shaded area here. And before I move on, I do want to touch on this because you can notice that this quadrant is not actually within the town limits. And so if council did decide to pursue that annual recurring contract, then we would need to just verify with Melanie that we can use town dollars to mow outside of our jurisdiction. And so I just wanted to throw that out there.
Jurisdiction is that?
That is unincorporated Union County. And so, all that being said, staff is requesting ultimately three actions from council tonight, and that is to either approve or deny the landscaping plan and implementing the landscaping itself. 2, approve or deny the recurring maintenance contract. And then finally, authorizing Alex to execute a budget amendment for an amount not to exceed $26,000, which encompasses that landscaping implementation, the watering period, and then that recurring maintenance. And so I can field any questions.
So I have, this is currently maintained by DOT.
Yes, it is in their jurisdiction to maintain.
Do we have to do an agreement with them?
We would, yes. We've got their informal approval of the plan, but we would have to go through a similar landscaping agreement that we did for the bypass.
And then I think we've touched on this previously when it was brought up, but have we exhausted all means to get DOT to maintain it?
The only options we've exhausted is simply just asking what their maintenance schedule is, to which we were told it's about every 2 to 3 months. So I don't know if there were any previous efforts or if Alex, you're able to speak to that at all, but I believe that's the
Good question. Appreciate that, Councilmember Hall. I think we've requested that they, do it more frequently, and they've said no. I think the most recent incident was back in, I think early August. We noticed it was getting taller, and it's just kind of like scraggly weeds. It's not an even growth. And so you're seeing, kind of random vegetation popping up 3, 4, 5 feet tall in certain things. And so we asked them, hey, can you come by and mow this? Can you do it earlier? And they said no, it'll come around the next round. And so basically the gap between them mowing was maybe about mid-July to about right now. So we did make that request. They did say no. And that's kind of probably the gap we're looking at in, as far as frequency of mowing. And then do you know of any other towns that have had to do this where they've taken on a North Carolina Department of Transportation responsibility? Or roundabout?
I'm sure there's thousands of them. Good question. And may I speak for just a moment? Yeah, so this is in my district, and thank you for, I'll answer. I think the answer is yes, Apex and others, we could look into those. But anywhere you'll find an NCDOT roundabout, the unfortunate thing, and I'll be honest, is that we have a nice infrastructure improvement. We had planned, the state had planned, and it came when Solis Apartments was approved back in 2017, 19, I don't remember exactly when. And it's a beautiful roundabout. It solved a problem. Traffic moves nicely now there. But the unfortunate thing is there is no maintenance plan for it. So unless you concrete it all, which would have been an option, I guess, they put some grass in the middle, gramming. Literally, the weeds go to my chin from time to time, and there is just no maintenance. And the request has been frustrating. We've got neighbors out there who walk the greenway. We have a large investment of a greenway between that roundabout and the Mecklenburg County Park that's beautiful that we maintain, and it really just looks out of place. I bet we can find other examples of this, and I bet we'll have examples in other parts of our town in the future. Emerald Lake will get a roundabout, and I bet this will happen there too. And it's sad because I'm gonna vote to spend $20,000, which I thought was a little expensive, but I know how landscaping goes. Some context, if I may. In our small area plan, that intersection and area
Prompted, go
around
ahead
it.
to speak.
That's all right.
Man, thanks.
The intersection around it is a small area plan of its own. It calls for lots of commercial, lots of restaurants, retail. As you know, there are 350 apartments there now. There's a restaurant pad being reserved for what will be required retail restaurant. There is Mario's Pizza and some retail there, a vet and others. So it's the beginning. And the unincorporated piece that Kevin mentioned is a future development parcel that likely would be in the town of Stallings, though we'll have to probably, I don't know if the word compete is the right word for it, but Indian Trail is in that area as well. So we'll have to work together. All told, there's $40 million of commercial development, if you include the apartment complex as commercial, and that's debatable. 40 million of commercial development already there, not to mention a restaurant pad and other neighborhoods to come. So from a return on investment, I think we can justify it. That's $75,000 annually in tax revenue just for the town from that 40 million and just in commercial. It doesn't include my neighborhood or the neighborhood of the Polos at Reddington, or excuse me, whatever that neighborhood is, not the Polo Club. So an upfront cost of 20 seems high, but I appreciate the staff overreaching and really bringing a nice design. The annual maintenance cost of 5,000, I think, is going to be fairly easy to maintain. Alex and I talked today, the last thing I'll say, about should we cut back the ornate grasses, the shrubbery, the dwarf plantings, the magnolia tree that's in the middle, and to save some upfront costs? The answer is probably yes. Our thinking is that would increase the annual maintenance cost because of weeds and grass maintenance. I think the plan is to remove a lot of the grass and just have some a nice natural planted area with native species. So I'll stop talking, but I'm going to support it, and I think we should probably expect to do this thing again down when Emerald Lake subdivision roundabout gets built. I bet the state leaves this holding the bag there too.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions?
So you guys would be for taking out the magnolia and some of the other things would be more maintenance?
Taking it out?
Yes.
No, I didn't propose that. I would say leave I'm supporting of the plan as it sits. I'm sorry if I
Oh, okay.
misstated that. Yeah.
Maybe I misunderstood.
The comment was if you remove some of the plantings, the thinking is it might increase the annual maintenance because then you might introduce weeds and mowing and weed eating and all that, where now, and I'm not sure you would, in the traffic circle proper. I don't care so much about the Union County parcel that's not in the court, so if that saves us $100 or $2 a month, we should look at that. I don't view those shoulders along the right-of-way as eyesores, at least on the one in our town, not the unincorporated one. They built what looks like an expanded curb that feels like a bad sidewalk. Yeah, I don't know if you got a picture of it. So that alone, I think, makes the curb and maintenance around the feel not so bad. Yeah, that doesn't bother us so much. That's the unincorporated part there. But I don't know how they maintain that any better than what it is now. I'm less concerned about the shoulders than we are about the obvious focal point of the intersection. So no, I wouldn't remove the tree.
I just wasn't sure about the tree because I thought that they said they needed visibility. Magnolias get huge.
It's a dwarf magnolia. Everything is dwarf. And been approved by the state,
Kevin
you're
said that.
saying?
It did, and so ultimately what they're, you can see the magnolias are kind of directly in the
You
center
did
here.
say everything was dwarf.
No, no,
I'm with you.
No, you raise a good point, though. The sight lines, though, are basically from where the car would enter directly across.
Yeah.
So those trees.
You just have to tell me 3 times and I'll catch on.
So I would say, I'm not a fan of spending this money, especially when someone does it, should be doing it, should, they're not doing it. But I actually, if it is only a couple $100 to do the, what are we calling it, curbs? Shoulder. I would actually be in favor of that. The only reason is I drive to Mint Hill every day, and I go around that roundabout, the one on Lawyers, and it has, every now and then, like, I'll see this, as you're doing a loop, you'll see the shoulder. It definitely is, I feel like that's kind of an eyesore. And I don't know if they're actually maintaining it or not, but, I mean, if we're gonna do it, just do it all, in my opinion.
It's a pleasure of the council.
I move to approve the landscaping plan for Chestnut Matthews Road roundabout.
I think we probably need to think about for next budget, like you said, the one that's coming too, so, but I second.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye. All right.
Thank you, staff.
Yeah, absolutely. And was, just to be clear, was that for all of it? Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
All right. Now we got the US 74 and Chestnut Parkway Agreement. Alex?
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I want to bring to your attention an issue that came back several years ago in 2019. The town Indian Trail has a multi-phase effort to provide an alternate route for commuters to get from Highway 74 to Old Monroe Road. They started that kind of concept, I think, in the early to mid 2000s. And there have been multiple phases. The town of Indian Trail did some work, and phase 2 was the NCDOT portion. And I don't want to regurgitate this email or this memo, but there's a small portion that is going to be within the town of Stallings, near Smith Farm Road, where that hits Highway 74. And when it came up back in 2019, DOT proposed to the town, hey, do you want to powder coat the mast arms? Which essentially means painting the mast arm poles so that they look better. The town of Indian Trail is doing it right down the road, and it could look better if you both do it. And at the time, the board said, yes, we're willing to do it, and committed $1,900 to do it. We let the DOT know, yes, we're in, but they continued on in the design process and are just now getting back to us now. And with that being said, the current estimate for the work to be done, you're looking at about $2,300 is what they're estimating. And you may be saying, hey, Alex, why are you bringing it to us now? Why don't we wait until it's bid out? We know the actual price. Why are we dealing with estimates? And the reason why is we need, if the board is interested, we need to do an interlocal agreement so that we have the optionality of doing it in the future when we get the actual cost back. So I wanted to kind of zoom out for a second and look at the maps so everybody is clear on kind of the area we're talking about. Okay, so here's Highway 74. I believe here is Smith Farm Road, and here is Chestnut Parkway. Down here is the areas that the town of Indian Trail is powder coating. And up here is the area that's proposed for the town of Stallings to powder coat. Now, I do want to point out that even though this will be similar, there are areas on that stretch of 74 in Stallings that are not powder coated. So either way, it'll be a bit of a mismatch in that sense. The town of Stallings, the town council at the time was interested in powder coating the poles around the bypass area, but unfortunately, we couldn't find a contractor at the time to do it for a reasonable price. The quotes that we were getting were just very high. We think it was a situation where a contractor, it's such a small job, it wasn't worth them to mobilize on site. So does everybody have a good handle on where it is? Okay.
So this is actual modifications to 74.
That's right. Yep. So you can see here, you can kind of see the concept. So on 74, where you see areas where it's restricted access and it's kind of a super street concept where to kind of turn around and do a U-turn, there's kind of a bulb out. So a lot of times you won't be able to turn in here, whatever. So let's say you want to get this entrance here. You would go up here, wait at the light, and then when that turns green, you would go and kind of turn around and then enter in here, for example. So it's kind of the super street bulb out turn.
And that's just right before just making sure I know exactly where it's at. That's just right before the bypass, right?
Correct. Yes, sir. You can see kind of the edge of the bypass up here. Here's, I believe it's Union Beltway Drive right here, and here's Smith Farm Road, Chestnut Parkway.
So the bridge starts like right there, doesn't it?
Yeah, real close up here.
Yeah.
So we've got several options for the board tonight. The first is, let's just say we're just not interested in spending the money right now. Then just let me know that, and we would just go and talk to DOT and say, hey, we're not interested right now. Let's not worry about an interlocal agreement because that would be a waste of time. And then if the board is interested, then what we would look at doing is two different options there. First, you could say, hey, Alex, we're open to funding this up to the estimate amount. If it's higher than that, then staff would bring the issue back to staff or back to council for further consideration. Or you could just say, for efficiency's purposes, just say, hey, staff, hey, town manager, we're willing to fund it up to this amount. If it's up to that amount, we're good. You can execute and implement everything, bring back a budget amendment. If it's above that amount, then we're not doing it. So, happy to answer any questions or concerns.
I have questions, of course.
Of course.
Everything at the hospital is powder coated, right?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, let me bring up an example of what powder coating was look like, and actually the town paid DOT to have this powder coated.
What are you looking for?
I'm looking for Matthews Indian Trail right here. The mouse was not cooperating, so forgive me. So if you go up here, these are mast arm poles that have been powder coated. You can see painted, oh, mouse is acting up, a black. Let's go down here and you can see some that have not been powder coating.
So are those steel or aluminum, or what are those poles made out of?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not sure. Kevin, do you know? Is it aluminum? Yeah, I don't. We can find that out though.
Like, what's the question?
Well, typically when you powder coat something, the reason why you're powder coating it is because powder coating lasts for typically 20 to 30 years over painting, because painting tends to weather not as well. And so, and it, you know, if you're powder coating steel, it also helps corrosion. If you're powder coating over aluminum, I mean, aluminum doesn't corrode as easily, so.
We're only doing this for looks.
We don't own these
We
signs,
don't own
correct?
them. So if they deteriorate, the state's gonna replace them.
Okay, I mean,
So we only care whether they look
Pretty.
pretty and black, powdered, or
Yeah,
frankly, I've never noticed.
we would be responsible for maintenance of the powder coating, but the mast arm itself, that would be the state's responsibility. And as the good discussion was happening here, I pulled up and you can see the difference in coloration here from one that has not been powder coated and the one up at the intersection before
That's
has
just a
been.
short distance apart.
And why was this one not done? We weren't asked to do it, and we chose not to. I don't remember.
Yeah, the cost was too high at the time. It was extraordinarily high. The
The ones we're talking about now, there was a $2,200 cost per, or that's the total?
That's the total for one mast arm and two pedestal heads.
That's all that's in the scope of our town.
That's right.
$2,200.
The ones down the street, this is just an example, but down the street on 74.
So presumably that was a lot more expensive at the time it was being proposed.
Yeah, this, you talking about this
Yeah,
pedestal?
The one that we passed on, which looks unfinished, but
Yeah, it was a cost issue, a cost and a contractor issue.
okay.
We got the cost from DOT at the time, and it was something that we thought, we might could get it cheaper. And so the board said, let's put out a bid package, and we just kept on not getting any contractor's interest.
These are done before installation, or you don't powder coat
I believe they
things
powder
after?
coat them before
You have
installation.
to. It's baked
It's
on, right?
more expensive to do them after.
And you mentioned we would be on the hook for the maintenance of it?
That's right, for the coating itself. So when I asked DOT about that, they advised that these typically last 20, 30 years, and it's not something that, once it goes, right? It's something that is small and most people don't even notice. So they wouldn't come, most likely, and say, hey, you need to fix the powder coating. DOT wouldn't care. They don't care most of the time about aesthetics. It would just be on us. So it would be something that we would be responsible for legally, but practically it would probably be several decades before we would need to do anything, and just be powder coating it again in 20, 30 years, most likely.
But how's the agreement worded? I mean, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself.
Yeah, no, good question. We can look at that if you'd like. That was something that I'd pointed out to the town attorney, and she did review it and was comfortable with that.
I'm fine. I always worry of what their call option is on that, but.
So, oops.
So I'll say, I'm not a fan of paying for a sign that, or anything that the DOT is doing. I've been vocal about that. And something that I won't notice, I hope most people wouldn't notice. And there's the mast arm just down the road, right in front of our hospital doesn't have it. So I don't see why we would do it. I mean, it almost seems like we're doing it for Indian Trail, so I'm not a fan of it. I would say option 1, do not fund.
Is that your motion?
That would be my motion.
Did we commit to do this in an earlier life?
The board voted on it, and we communicated via email to the DOT that we would do it, but it's not formalized. There's no interlocal agreement. And I've let the DOT know that I would need to go and talk to the town council, especially in light of a cost increase in order to move forward with this. So we have told them yes, but it wasn't legally binding, and they understand it's the board's decision now whether to proceed.
Just to clarify, when was this?
2019.
So 4 years ago.
Hmm.
And they're just now coming back to us?
Their speed.
Okay. Well, I'm just pointing out,
That's
like,
actually
it's a
pretty fast,
4-year delay, things happen, councils change.
Yeah.
You're gonna state your opinion?
No, I'm ready to vote, but there's a motion on the floor, so I'm looking for a second or discussion on the motion.
And Indian Trail is powder coating theirs.
Yes, sir. They're powder coating. This is Chestnut Parkway. This is where the town of Indian Trail is committed to powder coating one masthead and two pedestrian pedestals. And here's the location of what's at issue for the town of Stallings.
I would frame it, I understand, Graham, where you are. I would, if worded differently, you could word it like the state has offered us the ability to paint these poles that by state standard aren't painted. Powder coating, I would just, let's stop using that word, it's silly, painted. In that context, they look better painted, and for a small cost of $2,200, they're giving us the opportunity to upgrade these to something that looks better. If presented that way, I'm on that train. If presented your way, well, I kind of see what you're saying. But my guess is they are responsible for installing traffic signaling and poles. They don't do pretty things. Though I'll take that back. The bypass actually was done pretty nicely with the imprints of the towns. And the plantings along the bypass are nice. So I think they're moving in a good direction. I don't know that for $2,200, I'm not sure it's worth all this discussion, but I get the philosophical. I'm just not sure I'm there where you are, Grant, with respect. I get your point. So I'm not going to second that. And I wish we could paint the hospital ones to match if the cost was lower, but they've already been installed.
Stephen, Heather,
I'm on the fence here because all the
there's a motion on the floor. It needs a second or it's going to fail.
nicer. Graham, buddy, I hate it, but I think I come through the one that is powder coated, and I think it looks really nice up here at our hospital. So I think I'm gonna not second. I apologize.
I don't know, I could go either way. That's why I was wanting your opinion.
You could second, then we could vote. I mean, it would be, I could second.
Okay,
we could
I'll
vote.
second.
Okay.
I was gonna start Jeopardy music on you. So.
It was a pleasure of the council. There's a motion on the floor to option 1, do not fund the powder coating of the mast arm pole.
Call for a vote.
I call for a vote. I did say what's the pleasure of the council.
Oh, aye.
I'll say all in favor.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
2.
2, 3. Motion fails. All right, council, one of the 3 options is no longer, so what are we going with? Or a modified?
I'll move to fund the painting of the mast arm pole with 2 signal head pedestals up to $2,280.
Can I ask a question here? What's the difference between powder coating and just flat out paint?
Powder coating is painting baked in an oven.
Yep.
It's baked on enamel. Think of it that way.
That's what I thought, pretty fancy. So what's the difference with just paint?
Lasts as long.
It's a chemical bond instead of a layered bond.
Thank you.
I'll continue my motion. If the amount is higher, staff would bring the issue back to council, so authorize town manager to execute and implement the agreement on our behalf, including issuing payment, and to bring back a budget amendment for approval.
Put a max in there?
2280.
Okay.
I'll second.
All right, any discussion on that motion? Pleasure of the council. Call a vote.
Aye.
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 Nay?
Nay.
Nay.
I truly don't care enough. I know, I mean that in the
Fine.
nicest way
No,
possible.
I get it. It's a good debate. I mean.
Yeah, I mean, one
it's-
is on principle and one is
be-
on aesthetics, and it's not enough money to argue over. So
No, it is
truly-
enough money to argue. It's not
Can I
insignificant.
have $2,000?
you sure can. Anything for a friend.
The motion for option 2 passes on powder coating up to 2280. And if it's higher than that, bring it back to council for further consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you, council. Next up is an adjournment.
Move that we adjourn.
I will definitely second that.
That's unanimous.
We didn't vote.
Aye.
Thank you all for coming tonight.